1.5 decades of teaching experience and more than 2 decades of training experience, and with a wide exposure on working on academic systems and building academic systems, I am very happy to talk on outcome-based education in this video, which will help the people to implement outcome-based education in their respective field and organizations. This video actually deals with how to calculate program outcomes of a program. There are 12 program outcomes and 2 to 4 program specific outcomes, how to calculate them. This is the entire essence of this particular program, step by step. In step 0, a master table has been given, and from that master table 3 things are being calculated. The first one is we have to calculate the course outcome for each and every course. That is being dealt in step 2, and especially if I tell it has been dealt as step 2A and 2B, and it has been consolidated in step 2C. Then in step 3, 2 surveys have been conducted. Program exit survey is 3A, step 3A, and in step 3B, alumni survey has been conducted using the course outcome calculation and the program end survey calculations and the alumni survey calculations. The final value of program outcome has been calculated in this video. Now let us see step by step how these calculations are being made. The purpose of this video is finally to calculate program outcomes. We will be calculating so many other things, but finally the objective is to calculate program outcomes. How many program outcomes are there? There are 12 program outcomes. Program outcome 1 to program outcome 12. And there are 2 to 4 program specific outcomes. Here in this table, program specific outcomes are 2 in number. PSO1 and PSO2. So the final objective is here. Z is our final objective. Program outcome attainment final value is the summation of A plus B plus C divided by 3, and A, B and C will be a percentage out of 100. What is the percentage of attainment of A, B and C? That is what we are going to calculate. Finally, A plus B plus C divided by 3 will be the final value of attainment of program outcome 1. Here it will be attainment of program outcome 2, etc. till program specific outcome 2. So what is A, B and C we will see. What has been shown in blue, that is what is going to help in understanding the calculation of A. What has been shown here as B and what has been shown as C, I will explain later. Now, while calculating program outcome, there are 3 inputs according to this particular table. Calculation of course outcome are all the course outcomes that are going to contribute to the attainment of program outcome 1. All the course outcomes that are going to contribute to the attainment of program outcome 2. Now if you see in this table, assuming that there are 65 courses and each course has 6 course outcomes, total number of course outcomes is 390, and the mapping here we will put strong, medium, weak and things like that. We will be having a table created, and the number of course outcomes that are contributing to the attainment of program outcome 1 in this table is 75. The number of course outcomes which is contributing to the attainment of program outcome 2 is 80, etc. If you see, it varies from 75, 80, 100, etc. till 105. So out of this 390, certain things will contribute to attainment of program outcome 1 and other program outcomes. Like that, this table has been created. Now, we have to calculate what is the attainment of course outcome 1 in course 1 that will contribute to the attainment of program outcome 1, program outcome 4, program outcome 5, then program outcome 8, 9, 10 and 12. Like that, finally we see calculation of course outcomes for each and every course. When all the course outcomes at the end of 8th semester is available for a BE, undergraduate BE degree program, then only we can calculate the program outcome. So the first thing which has to be understood is only after the 8th semester, all the 8 semesters for a particular batch of students, program outcome can be calculated, because the course outcomes that are contributing for the attainment of a particular program outcome will be available only after all the 8 semesters are over. So we will calculate those values and put it here, and if we take the average, automatically what will be the average? You calculate, make all the calculations and divide it by the number of course outcomes, which will be 75 for program outcome 1, you will get this average. So, course outcomes contribute to the attainment of program outcomes. Next, we will conduct a program exit survey. That also will contribute to the program outcome attainment. And we will conduct a alumni survey. That also will contribute to the program outcome. Now, this is what has to be understood. Unless this master table is being created, we will not know what has to be calculated and what is not necessary. Here I have made it very simple. Let us keep things very simple. We will calculate based on 3 things. We will calculate the course outcomes, we will calculate the program exit survey, that can be done only at the end of 8th semester, and we will conduct an alumni survey, that also only can be conducted at a point of time when an alumni is available. So, 3 values put together divided by 3, because only 3 values are available in this table, we will get a value. But we have to fix a target for each and every program outcome. Don't fix a target too high, don't fix a target too low. See, first 1 to 5 program outcomes are totally dependent upon the courses, the content, what is available in the syllabus. PO6 to PO12, it is something related to teamwork, then ethics, lifelong learning and things like that. Therefore, it is better that we fix a value slightly lower. For this, you can fix an intermediate value. This is only a suggestion. It all depends upon how an institution wants to take things forward. So, I start with 75. If you want, you can start this also with 60, or you can make everything 60. It all depends upon what you want to fix as a target. Once this attainment is over, has been calculated, we have to check this attainment value with the targeted value. Let us say I attained 85 and the target is 75. Well and good. Next, maybe I will use the same target for 3 years, and consistently, if I am going to get a value above 85, then after 3 years I can change it to, maybe instead of 75, I will change it to 80. In that case also I need not keep a higher value, because every 3 years once, it is better to revise the 3 years once or 4 years once. For each and every batch we can revise the target. And if I get a lower value, attainment value is lower than the target, here it is target is 75, if I get it as 60 or 55 or even 70, then I should think and see what corrective measure has to be taken in order to attain whatever has been targeted. So that is what, whether we have attained the target or not, has to be mentioned here. This is the main thing which is going to drive the entire calculation, and along with this, the next step 1 is very important, because there we will decide what are the tools which are supposed to be used. This is all about the master table. Now the master table has been shown, which was in step 0. Now we are in step 1, where from step 0 we understood what has to be calculated. Now in step 1, actually if you see, we will decide on the assessment tools for assessing course outcomes and program outcomes. Finally, all these values are going to be used only to calculate the program outcomes. What tools we are going to use for assessing has been explained here. There are direct assessment tools and indirect assessment tools. What are the direct assessment tools for calculating a course outcome? The direct assessment tools for calculating a course outcome are assignments and projects, internal tests and end semester examination. Here I have taken just an example. Whatever an institution decides, put it here. Direct assessment tools are assignments, internal tests, end semester examinations, and the indirect assessment tools which is going to be used for calculating the course outcome, which is going to contribute, is the course end survey. Therefore, all these three things put together, and the fourth one, the course end survey, put together only will tell what is the attainment of course outcome. Next, program exit survey or program end survey and alumni survey will be used to calculate separately the attainment of program outcomes. But finally, as I said, three ingredients are going to be there: A, B and C. A will be to what extent course outcomes contribute to the attainment of each and every program outcome. That will be A. Then B will be program exit survey. C will be alumni survey. So this table very clearly tells what are the direct and indirect assessment tools which will be used for calculating course outcomes and program outcomes, and finally putting all these values onto the master table and finally calculating the program outcomes. This is the first step. Decide what are the assessment tools, direct and indirect assessment tools which will be used for calculating course outcomes and program outcomes, because that is what has been shown in the master table. Now this is step 2, where we are going to calculate course outcomes for each and every course. As explained earlier, each and every course will have 6 course outcomes. We have to calculate 6 course outcomes for each and every course. I have taken one of the courses. Let us say this is for one of the course. In order to calculate course outcome for one of the course, this is the master table that has to be used. Table 2 is the master table for calculating course outcome for a course. And assuming that there are 60 students, if we calculate course outcome 1, course outcome 2, etc. till course outcome 6 for the first student, second student, third student, etc. for all the 60 students, we will take the average. Course outcome 1, average will be course outcome 1 of first student, second student, etc. till 60 students, summation of that divided by 60. That is what will be the value A, and that becomes the direct assessment of course outcome, and B becomes the indirect assessment of course outcome, which will be through a survey. And we will conduct a survey, and whatever value we get, we will put it here. That will be value B. Automatically value A plus value B. Attainment of course outcome through direct tools and attainment of course outcome through indirect methods put together divided by 2 has been shown in yellow. That will be the attainment of course outcome 1 for the first course. This will be attainment of course outcome 2 for the first course, etc. Attainment of course outcome 6 for the first course. This has to be done for each and every course, and this is the master table. How to calculate all these things will follow. Now in step 2, this is step 2A, where we will calculate using direct assessment tools the course outcome for one of the student. For each student, we will be calculating course outcome 1 to 6. This is for one of the students in one of the courses we are calculating. And the test question papers will be set in such a manner that for course outcome 1, let us say there are 15 marks. Maybe part A, B, C, everything put together. In course outcome 1, only 15 marks has been allotted. That is, questions are available only for 15 marks. And the student has scored 10 out of 15 in test 1. In test 2, the marks which was allotted for course outcome 1, that is, questions were asked for 20 marks and the student has obtained 15 out of 20. In course outcome, in test 3, course outcome 1, 15 marks was allotted, that is, questions for 15 marks was asked and the student was able to obtain 12 out of 15. So, 10 marks in test 1, 15 marks in test 2 and 12 marks in test 3. And assignment, generally an assignment, for assignments let us say 20 marks is being given throughout the semester. The student has been given assignments for 20 marks and the student has got 13 out of 20. This 13 out of 20 we are going to use for all the course outcomes, that is course outcome 1 to 6, it is going to be the same. From here to here we are going to have only 13 out of 20. That is, here also it will be 13 out of 20. I am just showing this. Here also it will be 13 out of 20. Here also it will be 13 out of 20, etc. This will keep on going till course outcome 6. Because we cannot separately segregate, even if we want to, it will be only an assumption. Therefore, let us not take that kind of accuracy requirements into consideration. For everything, it will be 13 out of 20. And for group presentation, let us say you are going to make the students to make some presentation. We cannot say it is directly linked with course outcome 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, 6. So therefore, we have to generalize. Here also we will make it as 8 out of 10 for each and every course outcome. Now, when we calculate, what happens? Using the direct assessment methods, that is inside when by conducting test 1, test 2, test 3, assignment, group presentation, we can calculate the course outcome in percentage. That is numerator. Numerator, you add everything, 10 plus 15 plus 12 plus 13 plus 8 turns out to be 58. And the denominator, if you calculate 15 plus 20 plus 15 plus 20 plus 10 turns out to be 80. So, through all the tests and through all the assignments and presentations, the student has earned 58 marks out of 80 marks. So, they have attained 72.5%. Now, end semester examination also is a direct assessment tool. But in the present day situation, we see that in the end semester they don't give marks, they give only grade. So, usually the grades which are being given is grade O. You can see grade O is rated between 91 to 100. Grade A is rated between, A plus is rated between 89 to, that is 80 to 89. Like that it goes. Now, if a student gets O grade, which ranges from 91 to, any person who gets a mark from 91 to 100 will be graded as O. I will take the middle value of 91 to 100 as 95. So, the student has attained 95 marks, 95% of marks. And this also is a generalization we have to make. There is no other go. We can make very accurate calculations. What is the number of questions asked for CO1 in the end semester examination and put that exact value, but that will be an elaborate process for the controller of exams, feeding it on, and such kind of things will only take away a lot of time, which is not worth according to me. Therefore, we will take the center value, and that will be one of the attainment values. Now through tests, assignments, group discussions, we have attained it as 72.5%. Through the end semester it is 95%. The final value of course outcome for one of the students will be this 72.5 plus 95 divided by 2 will be 83.75. Like that for each and every course outcome, CO1 to CO6 for one of the students, if it is calculated, it is available for one student. This has to be done for the entire batch of students, the entire batch of students who are undergoing that particular course. Therefore, we will be having CO1 to CO6 for the first student, second student, etc. for all the students in the class. In our case, it is for 60 students we will be having. That is how we can calculate the course outcome based on direct assessment tools. Now let us look at how to calculate course outcomes based on indirect assessment tools. The indirect assessment tool is the course end survey which is going to be done. For each and every student, first a form has to be given. See, it is not just like that giving the form and conducting a survey, asking them to simply make a assumption and fill things. We have to educate the students, and after that, without putting any conditions, we are supposed to ask them to use this form. That is very, very important. Simply giving the form or sending it by email and asking them to fill it up is not the right way. We have to take, preferably, we have to give them all that education which is required to make them understand why it is being done, so that they give a genuine feedback without having any kind of emotions in their mind. Now, this form is a very simple form which has been created. See, we should not get unnecessary data through the form. We require the name of the faculty, course code, student name, program, year and all these things. But mainly what is required is we have to get a feedback on the course outcomes, attainment of course outcomes. How many course outcomes are there? There are 6 course outcomes. Course outcome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see here. Please tick appropriately. Poor, average, good. We can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I will strongly recommend, let us not complicate things. We will have 1, 3, 5. And to what extent do you feel? We are asking the student, to what extent do you feel you have learned and will be able to do the following, which are the course outcomes of the course. You simply take directly from the syllabus whatever is there as the course outcome, print it here, and we have asked a question. The student will either put 1, or the student will put 3, or the student will put 5. So one of the student will do this and all the 60 students will do this. If there is something really which has to be given as a suggestion by the student, let them put it here. But we are not going to use this suggestion in any way in the calculations. Maybe to take some corrective measures and things like that we might use it, but it does not have anything to do with the calculations. And date, signature of the student, and the signature of the student also we can say that it can be made as an option, because feedback always identity is not required. So there might be a student who wants to write his name, let him write, but optional means you are giving an option either to sign, put his name or things like that. Finally, we require genuine information. If the student puts his name, there are many students who think that they might not be able to give a genuine feedback. Now, once this form is used and obtained for each and every student, what they have ticked is will be available. Next, we will go to the consolidation of all these things, where student 1, whatever they have ticked, if they have ticked poor, we have to put it as 1 for course outcome 1. If the student has ticked, let us say, average, for course outcome 2, we will put it here. If the student has ticked 5, that is very well handled, and I am able to understand, able to do the course outcome 1, that is course outcome 3, really, I am able to understand it very well, then they will put 5. Similarly, for course outcome 4, let us say they would have, if they have ticked 3, or if they have ticked 5, or if they have ticked 1, you put it accordingly. Now for each and every student, the form itself will give this particular data. You fill up all these things. Finally, what has to be done? For 60 students, what is the count of 1? Let us say if the count of 1 turns out to be 15, count of 3 turns out to be 15, because only 60 students are there, automatically the count of 5 will be 30. So we have for course outcome 1, 15 students rating it as 1, 3, that is 15 students rating it as 3, and 30 students rating it as 5. So automatically we have to make an assumption. Number of survey scale values of 3 or 5 only will be accepted. Therefore 3 and 5 put together becomes 45. And out of total students of 60 students are there. So I put it here. This will be 45 divided by 60. Whatever value you get, what is 45 divided by 60? It will be 75. So course outcome 1 attainment is 75% according to the indirect assessment method course and survey, which is being executed in that particular class. This is what it exactly means. Like this, for each and every course outcome, if it is being calculated and consolidated, that becomes the course outcome value attainment for the entire class for that particular course through course and survey. This is how it has to be consolidated. This is the consolidated table. These values will finally be entered onto what is called as the master table, which was already shown for calculating the course outcome, which will follow. Now in this step, which is consolidating the course outcome calculation for a course, we are going to use the outcomes of step 2A and 2B, and we are going to revisit table 2, which is there in step 2, and we are going to enter the values. Whatever we calculated using the direct assessment tools, the value of CO1, we will enter it and we will make the calculation for CO1, that is A will be available. Then course attainment value from course and survey, that is already available from step 2B. Directly that value we will take it and we will import it here. Now we have two values. This will be 1% and this will be another percentage. So that is what we will be doing here in the last step, which has been shown in yellow. Final course outcome attainment value will be value A plus value B divided by 2. This will be a percentage out of 100. This will also be a percentage out of 100. Add these two percentages and divided by 2, you will get the final course outcome attainment value. This value only we will be using directly for substitution in the master table, which has been shown in the initial stage of this particular video. And please keep that in mind, because when we go to the next stages, these will be input. These will be the input for being put in the first master table of calculating PO that was being shown. Now we are going from step 2 to step 3, and step 3 deals with program outcomes calculation based on indirect assessment tools. Directly, if you want to calculate a program outcome, then we cannot do it. We can directly calculate the course outcome and use it as an input for calculating program outcomes. But directly, if you want to calculate the program outcome, we can use only indirect assessment tools. And this table has already been shown previously. It is being shown to show that indirect assessment tools, namely program exit survey and alumni survey, will be used for calculating the program outcomes. These values finally will be consolidated and the final value of program outcomes will be obtained. And let us go to the next step. Step 3A, where we will calculate program. We will use the program exit survey and calculate program outcomes, and we will use alumni survey in step 3B and calculate program outcomes. In this step 3A, let us see how program outcomes can be calculated using a program end survey. So if it is a survey, we should have a survey form. This is the survey form which has been shown, and it has to be very clearly kept in mind that we should not collect anything which is unnecessary, and whenever a form is given, people will fill that form only if it takes very little time, because today that point has to be kept in mind. Here the name of the student, the program, which batch does that student belong to, all these things are being collected, and then the form is very simple. Serial number, automatically you will have the lead question which says that to what extent, we are asking the student, to what extent do you feel you have learnt and will be able to do the following, which are the program outcomes and program specific outcomes of a program. Poor, average and good. We can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I strongly recommend it to be kept very simple so that it can be filled up very easily. Poor, average and good, 1, 3, 5. And the number of questions, the questions should be related to program outcome 1, or you can put the program outcome 1 itself directly. There is nothing wrong, which has been given by the accreditation agencies. Question related to program outcome 1, 2, 3. Don't have too many number of questions for each and every program outcome. One question for program outcome 1, one question for program outcome 2, etc. You go, you will have the 12th question for program outcome 12. Then you will have 2 to 4 questions for program specific outcomes. Here only 2 program specific outcomes are there. Therefore, I have put only 2 questions. The student will be given this particular survey form. Here the student name and signature is optional. The student will put a tick mark and give for program outcome 1. They will say that by undergoing this particular program, I feel that my engineering knowledge, application of engineering knowledge is average. So they will put a tick mark here. Like that, they will select either 1, 3 or 5. But before executing any form, proper education has to be given to the students how to use the form, for what purpose it is being used, and they should be told that don't become emotional and tick everything 5 or everything 1. They should be practical and they should be educated to give a genuine feedback. Once this feedback has been obtained from each and every student, then the next activity will be, it has to be consolidated. The results of all that feedback survey has to be consolidated. Whatever student 1 has been given, if that student has ticked poor, average, excellent or good, if they have ticked average, they would have put 3. If they have ticked poor, they would put 1. Like that, each and every student would have ticked, and whatever value student 1 has ticked, we will directly enter it here. Whatever value the second student has entered, we will enter it here. Likewise, whatever the 60th student has entered, we will put it here. Now the total number of students is 60 in this particular case, and we have to take account for program outcome 1. How many 1s are there? Let us say the number of 1 is 10. The number of 3 is 30. So automatically the number of 5 will be 20. And the target will be, we will take only, is taken as fixed initially as incorporated in the master table. That is, this value has been shown in the master table. And if you scroll back to the master table and see, I will just scroll back to the master table. In the master table, it has been fixed as 75. And we will come back to this particular table, and you can see that will be 75%. Only survey scale values of 3 and 5 will be considered. Survey scale values 3 and 5 put together will be 30 plus 20, which will be 50. And therefore the attainment will be 50 divided by the total number of students 60, and whatever the value is, you put it here, the value will be 50 divided by 60 will be 83%. So program outcome 1 attainment is 83% through program end survey. This is what is the outcome of this particular calculation. Now in the same way we have to conduct the alumni survey. I will just explain how to do it in the next step. Now let us go to step 3B, where program outcomes will be calculated based on an alumni survey. And whenever we have a survey, there will be two steps as discussed earlier. We will use a survey form, collect data, and then we will use a table to consolidate that data and find the final value. So the same thing is going to be done for calculating the program outcomes using an alumni survey. An alumni survey form has been shown where basic details are being collected of the alumni, and then we are going to ask certain questions related to program outcome 1 to 12 and program specific outcomes 1 and 2 in this particular case. Here we have a lead question: to what extent do you feel your undergraduate degree has helped you to learn the following that is useful in your present job career or has been useful in your previous jobs or careers? The question should be related to the program outcomes, because we are having an intention to collect data and calculate the attainment of program outcomes through this survey. So we will have question related for program outcome 1, or you can put the program outcome 1 itself directly if it is really required. Likewise, till program outcome 12, and questions for program specific outcome 1 and program specific outcome 2, and the signature of the alumni can be optional. Now there are 3 grades which have been given: poor, average and good. For program outcome 1, if an alumni feels that by undergoing the program they have not acquired that kind of a engineering knowledge, then they will rate it as 1. If they feel that it has been average, they will rate it as 3. And if they feel that it is good, they will rate it as 5. They will just put a tick mark, or they can put 1, 3 or 5. Likewise, this form will be given for each and every student, and before giving the form, the alumni has to be properly educated. Maybe we cannot meet the alumni directly. A video can be prepared on the intention of collecting this particular data. Along with the form, the video also can be sent, and we can ask the alumni to really give a very genuine feedback. Just like that, if the form is being sent, people might tick it and just send it without any kind of understanding. Education is very required whenever a survey is being conducted. Once that form is being collected, now who are the alumni? It is not necessary that we have to collect information only from the alumni of that particular batch. Alumni means we can collect from any alumni who has passed out from this particular institution, preferably who has been an alumni before, who has been in the program 3 to 5 years before. Not someone who has been in the program 10 years, 15 years before. 3 to 5 years before will be optimal. After collecting from considerable number of alumni, we can put all the data in this particular form. Instead of calling it a student number 1, actually it is alumni number 1. You put the grade which has been given by alumni number 1 here. Alumni number 1, if they have given it as 3, and let us say here they have given it as 5, here it has given, they have given it as 1 for program outcome 4, they have given it as 3, because the value can change only between 1, 3 and 5 in our form. Likewise, each and every person, all the students here, actually we need not say it is 60, we can have it as n number of alumni, and actually this is not a student, this is for understanding it was put as student, it is an alumni. Likewise, alumni 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Total number of alumni will be entered here. Let us say we have collected from 231 alumni, then we have to put it as 231. I will just say the total number of alumni. If it is going to be 110 forms are given and we have collected, and let us say for program outcome 1, 15 alumni said that they have rated it as 1, and let us say 45 alumni have rated it as 3, and the remaining alumni will be 50. 50 alumni have rated it as 5. So automatically what happens? The number of we are going to fix a target, then only 3 and 5 will be considered. Therefore, 95 alumni, that is 45 plus 50, have rated it as 3 and 5. The attainment of this particular value will be total number of forms which were given and total number of rating. 95 divided by 110, and 95 divided by 110 turns out to be 86%. This will be 86%. So the attainment of program outcome 1 through the alumni survey will be 86%. Like that we have to calculate for each and every that is program outcome, and we can consolidate it and show it. And next what happens is all this data will be available. We have to shift to the next step where we will feed the data onto the program outcome calculation master table, which is available which is the first table shown in this particular video. Now this is the last part of the calculation, and in this particular step, that is, we'll go back to step 0, that is feeding all the data calculated from step 2 and step 3 has to be fed onto the master table which has been shown in step 0 in order to calculate the final values of PO1 to PO12 and PSO1 and PSO2. Now, based on this master table only, all the calculations till now were being made. Now first we calculated for one of the courses, course outcome 1, and out of the calculation, the result which was obtained was, we got the course outcome value CO1 as 83.75. Now I will just put 83.75, irrespective of whether this correlation is strong, medium or weak. All these things is only for the teacher to understand that while teaching we will give more emphasis for something which is strong, medium emphasis, and let us say we will not go into the depth of certain things which is going to be weak. If it is going to be strong, that is what it means, but value wise all these values will be considered to be the same, and that is what I recommend, 83.75. Likewise, this and this will become 83.75. Now you can calculate for whatever calculation you have got for course 1 CO2, you put the values wherever the mapping has happened. Similarly, for the entire 65 courses, if you do it, you will get 83.75, some value here, some value here, like that. For 75 values you add up all those values and divide it by 75 to get this particular value. That is the average of all the course outcomes for a PO. For PO1, you can add all the values and divide it by the number of POs which are correlated, which is 75. Let us say when you do that, just for the sake of calculation, I get this as 63%. The average is 63. And these two calculations is already over. PO value from program exit survey, when I made an assumption and calculated, I got it as 83. And program value from alumni survey, I got it as 86. Now, the value, the final attainment value, if you are going to give equal weightage for everything, I am not going to tell this is important, this is not important. In that particular case, what happens? A plus B plus 3, C divided by 3 becomes the final attainment value of program outcome 1. This is what we have been striving for. This value turns out to be 77.33. 77.33. How did I get it? 63 plus 83 plus 86 divided by 3. When I got 77.33, this is the attainment value. And what was the target? I said it was 75. I have exceeded the target. Therefore, I have to put attained A. Now, when I calculate for this, let us say I get a value of 65. 65 is the attained value and 75 is the target value. Therefore, I have to put not attained. You see, not attained has to be put NA. Likewise, you will get A or NA throughout this particular last row. If it is A, you have to take steps in order to sustain what you are doing. If it is NA, you have to prepare an action taken report. ATR, action taken report. This is what I am going to do in order to see that this program outcome 2, which has not been attained in accordance with the target which has been set, so that you have to do it next time when everything is being offered and you have to create proof for that. These are all serious things. If it is being done, we can assure the program outcome 1 to 12 and PSO 1 and PSO 2 attainment really very well. This is what the calculation of program outcomes means. It is actually a lengthy calculation, but keep things very, very simple. Just making all things complicated will only take away the teaching time of faculty. Teaching is more important than all these calculations. Calculations are mandatory. A teacher does not have a choice. An institution does not have a choice. But teaching is more important. Let us really concentrate on teaching. Now, instead of giving equal weightage, we can say, I will give 80% weightage to this one, then 10% weightage to this one and 10% weightage to this one, means then it will be 63 into 0.8, 63 into 0.8 plus 83 into 0.1 plus 86 into 0.1. So based on weightage, if I calculate, I will get this particular percentage will change. It will turn out to be 67.3. If I take it directly, I get 77.33. If I give a weightage of 80, 10 and 10, then it turns out to be 67.33. You see, when we give a weightage, it becomes a manipulation. I can change the weightage and I can slightly alter these values, but that is not the way in which we are supposed to think and do our work. Beyond all these calculations and things like that, what kind of academic systems we have and how well it is being followed and implemented, all these things only are very important, because the entire principles of outcome based education states very importantly that assessment leads to learning. If you are going to assess properly, conduct tests, examinations and things like that properly, and if there is no element of emotion in awarding marks in the assessment process, people who are supposed to study will put in their best effort and study. Let us concentrate on streamlining the process and not bringing emotions into the calculation part. Automatically the outcome will be great. This is all about how to calculate program outcomes. Till now in this entire video, which I understand is a slightly lengthy video, we have seen how to calculate program outcomes, giving three inputs by calculating course outcomes, by calculating program outcomes using program exit survey, and by calculating the program outcome using alumni survey. Keep things as simple as possible. That is the key, because beyond all the calculations, teaching only has to be given primary importance. Collect all the information when you are going to have a course log, that is an attendance book along with what happens in a course. Enter all the data very clearly in test 1 for CO1, how many marks, what's the maximum marks and what was the marks obtained by each and every student. Like that information, feed it into the logbook itself, and finally when the course is over, when the end semester exam is being conducted, before that itself all the course and survey should have been calculated, and finally when the logbook is being closed for that particular course, it should end only by saying that all the course outcomes has been calculated. Similarly, when a program ends, we should say that the program has ended only after conducting the program exit survey and the alumni survey. Then all the three data is available stage by stage. For courses we have collected, at the end of the program we have collected for the program through program exit surveys and to the alumni survey. Three values are available. Time to time, if we are going to keep entering data onto the master table, automatically when a program is over, within a few days we will be having the values of all the POs. It becomes a process to be followed. Let us make it very clear that we should have a process which has been put in place. In many institutions, they have a very elaborate software which is being put in place, where the software will ask the faculty to do so many things which is not at all necessary, and it will create so many graphs and things like that. All those things, according to me, might not be necessary. Concentrate on teaching, do the calculations on a very basic level. Don't aim to be too perfect. That never means that we should not aim at perfection, but in the name of perfection, let us not divert and do too much of calculations at the cost of teaching. A simple Excel sheet is what is more than enough for each and every batch of students to make this particular calculation. That can be standardized depending upon whatever direct and indirect tools are being used for calculations of all the course outcomes and program outcomes. And if you have a system put in place, automatically things will be taken care of. I wish everyone all the best in making all these calculations by spending little time on these calculations and maximum time on teaching and standing for the betterment of the students. All the best.